Skirt. Okay, so this video is for my girlies who like to get in the water during the summer. Not even just like during the summer, like even like vacations, anywhere where you get into chlorinated water. The tips that I'm going to be providing today are helpful for salt water too. No discrimination. You guys, look at this. They are turning out so nice. Hey you guys, if you're new to my channel, my name is Cilya. If you're not new to my channel, hi friends, hi subscribers, hey everybody who's been there from the beginning. Oh my goodness, we're really friends, especially if you've been there from the beginning. I feel like you're really my friend in real life. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and you'll be my 2-year mark friend. Alright, so today's video is about locs and swimming, specifically swimming in chlorinated water. Just basically ways to kind of protect your hair and prevent your hair from getting damaged when you're swimming freely in the water or getting exposed to any type of chlorinated water. So there's gonna be like a list of things I'm gonna go through. It's kind of like more like a step system: preparation, protection, and then post care after you're done getting your hair exposed to the chlorinated water. Kind of wrote some notes down for this because I wanted to get into detail about this one because, listen, I love going swimming. I love being in the water. I love submerging myself head deep underneath the water. And, you know, that was kind of a sacrifice that I had to make when it came to getting locs, especially the first year. I wasn't able to freely get into the water as free as I wanted to because my locs were immature and it was more likely to ravel up. But I found some hacks on the way, some tips, some helpful tips for you guys that I can probably share. So this video is going to be for overall locs. It's not just specifically for like a specific type of locs. Like I have Sisterlocks, but I feel like all the tips and pointers are going to be kind of well-rounded for all types of locs. So for the first thing we're going to talk about is how to prepare your locs before you go swimming. So the main thing that, you know, needs to happen before you prepare your locs before swimming is either you get protective styles, like you braid and band, or you have a protective style where your hair is sealed up, or you can basically, for those of you who are comfortable moisturizing your locs with conditioner and products, you know, it's good to condition your locs before you actually go inside chlorinated water because it creates a barrier between the chlorine and your actual hair follicles. If you moisturize or if you condition your hair, you're less likely to experience like breakage or any damage to your locs from the chlorine drying your hair out. If you do decide to use any type of moisture, just try to make sure it's residue free, because when it comes to washing your hair afterwards and taking care of your hair afterwards, you don't want the product that you use to cause clumps in your hair, clumps of material or product while you're swimming, and in return you're gonna have like gunk in your hair and it can cause your hair to get weak. Maybe like a light type of conditioner or oil, something that's very like on a lighter side to protect your hair but not too heavy. That will probably prevent the buildup. Now for my girlies that don't use products in your hair, a good way to prepare your hair before actually getting inside the water is having a protective style or using a swim cap. I did a review on the YGN Eco Natural swim cap, I think it was about a year ago. I felt like it was effective as far as keeping the water out. I just felt like it wasn't really comfortable. It added a lot of pressure to my head. But then again, I did get a smaller size, and I feel like if I had tried the bigger size, that it would have actually been more comfortable. They have different colors of like swim caps that you could purchase on YGN's website, but there's different things that you could also put on your head to kind of protect your hair from getting wet. They have satin lined rain hats. I don't know if you guys saw I saw an ad of this girl. She was wearing like a baseball cap, and it was like a bonnet baseball cap, but it protected her hair from the rain. I think you could use those inside the pool too. So I feel like that's a great alternative when it comes to not getting your hair wet if you don't want to wear the swim turban. But they also have on Amazon a bathing swim cap. They have regular wraps for your hair if you just want to just keep your hair tamed and up and off your shoulders so it doesn't get wet. And they also have a bucket hat. But yeah, I would just look for something that covers your head completely if you don't want to get your hair wet at all. For people who are not on the I want to use conditioner or any type of moisturizer to kind of protect my hair. Something that is very important when it comes to prior getting into the pool is detangling your hair. Detangle your hair from your scalp to your roots so that when you get in the water, it's not all webbed up, you know, from it being previously tangled up. Because when your hair is not detangled before you go into the water, and then it tangles even more and you get out the water, when it comes time to washing your hair, you're gonna have to do a lot of detangling, and you might have some breakage and do some damage to your hair detangling because the chlorine will dry it out too. So it's best to detangle your hair before you get inside the water, and detangle before you do a protective style if you do feel like doing a protective style. Some tools that I would kind of get in order to prepare yourself for a long day at the pool or any pool day or any vacation are microfiber head towels for your hair after you're done getting out of the pool and you instantly wash your hair. You could get some waterproof hair bands. They're like the plastic ones, like, you know, the white girls use. I think the white girls use it, but black girls use it too, but they're really good with not grasping onto your hair and ripping it. I feel like the regular bands that you get, like the scrunchies, if you're going swimming with that and you get it wet, it's going to soak up the water rather than be water resistant, in return holding more water in your hair. So things like rubber bands or the plastic ponytail holders, those are really good when it comes to not attracting water, keeping less chlorinated water out your hair. Okay, now it's time to get into protection, including protective hairstyles, including all types of protection. We already kind of touched on using the swim cap. The swim cap is going to really help hold everything together and keep your hair less tangled while you're swimming, while keeping the water away. But if you don't do that, we already talked about the other alternatives as far as, like, you know, what I said before. But we're going to talk about some protective styles. I feel like there's levels to the styles depending on like what you're planning on as far as like your pool visit. Like, are you planning on totally just not getting your hair wet at all? Like, I'm not getting my hair wet, not even a splash, don't splash me. Are you that type of person when you go to the pool? Or are you that type of person that's just like, I don't care if I get it a little wet, I'll just take a little dip and that's it? That's another type of person. Or the third person is just like, I'm in this, like, I'm getting underneath, I'm in and out the water all times, like wet hair, don't care. I'm the third person, but recently I've been the first and second person because I had a horrible experience with my hair bunching, and that was just from one dip in the pool, you guys. And I thought it was over with, but we're not trying to get back into the past. We're in the future, here, right now. So if you're that type of person that's just like, oh, you know, I'm not about to get my hair wet at all, I don't want you to splash me or anything like that, you don't really have to focus on doing like the braiding and banding or like the very containing type of hairstyles. All you have to do is focus on getting your hair off your shoulders if you have shoulder length hair. If you don't have shoulder length hair, if you do, things like high buns, pigtails, using hair clips to kind of clip your hair back and keep it off your shoulders. You don't have to braid or anything like that. Just keep your hair loose like this because you're not planning on getting it wet at all. People who want to get their hair wet a little bit, they don't really care, but they're not really too intentional about getting their hair wet. That's when you can like braid and, you know, braid your hair. They have several different braiding styles that you can do. I think I'm going to get into more of the braided hairstyles and kind of drop some videos on that so we could expand our library of hairstyles that we could do in the Loc community. And then as far as like if you're totally submerging your water, I feel like you need to do the individual braids. Like I feel like you need to do the same process that you do to wash your hair when your locks are immature. You should probably do that when it comes to if you're gonna like be wet hair, don't care type of mood. Like just to prevent bunching, especially for people that are new to locks and have just recently gotten their installment. So just to sum it up, the less exposure to water, the less containment you need. And if you're traveling up the scale to like, I feel like I'm gonna go all the way in the water and do whatever, I feel like that's the most containment you need for your hair to prevent damage, because you're gonna be exposed to more chlorine at that point. Either way, for any hairstyle that you choose to do, just make sure your hair is detangled previously. And for those people that are going to use the braiding or any type of like bands or ponytail holders, try to use the waterproof one so the water doesn't get stuck in your hair. But yeah, those are some tips and hacks as far as the protective styling, because what you don't want to experience is what I experience, is a lot of slippage. Slippage and bunching are your enemies, because slippage, that's gonna create, when you have a lot of slippage, you need more repairing for your locks. And when you repair your locks, that makes your locks kind of weak, and it's kind of a process to get your locks strong again. Sometimes you may lose a lock, so we want to prevent slippage. We want to prevent bunching. We want to prevent bunching because when your ends bunch, it's harder for you to retie your hair. It's a little bit more tasking for the person that's doing your hair. Yeah, but when you have bunching, it's harder to thread the lock underneath where the base of the lock is when you're retightening it, and cause in return it can cause like a little bit of irritation while you're getting your hair retightened. So something that we also have to keep in mind when we're in the water is that we're not only protecting our hair from the chlorine, but we should probably protect our hair from the sun, because we're going to be directly in the sun, especially our scalp. So I kind of recommend that you use like bucket hats or maybe a baseball hat or any forms of like covering on top of your head if you do plan on being in the sun, because what's not a good mixture is exposing your hair to chlorine. And you know how sometimes you go swimming and then you like to rest or lay down on the lounge chair sometimes, and you like to dry off a little bit. We don't want the sun to dry out our hair, then we expose it to chlorine again by dipping inside the pool, then come out again, and then it gets dried out by the sun, especially when the sun is kind of tasking on our hair too. So I feel like, you know, wearing hats and turbans or any type of baseball cap is very helpful in protecting your hair during a pool day too. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to take care of your hair, your locks, after you're done swimming and you're done with the pool. First is first, honestly, right after you're done being in the pool, we need to go rinse that chlorine out before it dries out. Definitely want to rinse your hair thoroughly before you actually go ahead and wash it, just to make sure, you know, you kind of get some of that chlorine out ahead of time. But when you're rinsing your hair, don't use hot water, because that's going to strip the moisture from your hair. Probably use like room temperature or cold water, just to maintain the moisture in your hair. The reason why you want to rinse right after you actually get out the pool is because you don't want to cause cracking and drying of your hair, because the cracking and drying of your hair is going to make it weak. It could cause breakage of the hair strands inside the lock. Things that I kind of researched online as far as like good things that specifically help remove chlorine from your hair are apple cider vinegar and baking soda. And some people that are kind of sensitive to apple cider vinegar or baking soda, or not trying to do too much to their hair, you could dilute it in water and kind of put it in a spray bottle, even to evenly distribute it, and run your fingers through it to kind of evenly distribute it more than rinse it out. You want me to run my fingers through your hair? If you do plan on doing the ACV rinse, the ACV rinse can be drying. That's kind of like a side effect afterwards. So just make sure you follow up with a certain type of moisturizer, and make sure you're not frequently exposing your hair to apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar and baking soda do have pH balancing effects when it comes to your hair. So it'll help with balancing everything when it comes to getting the chlorine out. After you're done washing your hair, for the next couple of weeks, you need to look out for your hair to see if there's any damage. See if your hair just feels drier than normal. Look for areas of slippage, for bunching, so that you can catch and address it before it gets too late and you actually end up losing that lock. And when you catch it, if you go to a professional, I would kind of notify the professional and say, hey, I went swimming and I'm noticing this with my hair, so they can tell you how to go about it before it's too late also. Because what we don't want is for the damage to get too bad to the point where it's irreversible. Some tips, like when I first submerged my hair into water when it was immature, I had severe bunching. And a way that my previous loctician told me to help with taming bunching is braiding and banding really tight for your next couple of washes to kind of like conceal everything and make everything contained again. Braiding and banding also helps with the slippage, so you want to braid and band really tight for the slippage too. But that's all I have for this video. I hope it was very helpful, especially for my girlies that like to get in the water and have fun. You know, that's something major when it comes to the loc journey. You're kind of deprived of certain things that you can't do so that, you know, your hair can turn out okay in the long run. So I feel like these tips will be really helpful for people that are looking for ways to keep their hair healthy and stable while still having fun. If you guys have any other pointers or any other recommendations or tips on how to protect your locks while going swimming, please put it down below because I want to know some too. I'm not comfortable fully submerging my hair into the water, like having a full-blown pool day and just being free with it yet, but I've been going by these tips, so I'm waiting for the okay for me to wash my hair without braiding and banding, for me to actually be comfortable with just submerging my hair into the water, you know, with no ragrats. But hope you guys have a good day.